Hey gang, it's Mr. Wilson, and today, as you can see, I'm here in Visual Studios 2019 Community Version, and I have a little program up here. It is just a little WPF form that I've created. Notice there's a couple labels. Go ahead and build this yourself. You know how to do this by now, and we're going to play with this little form just a little bit. You can see that there's a result label that's on there. It starts off with there's just a label. It says right here if and is equal to. There are two text boxes: text box 1, text box 2. There is a little check box here that says old checkbox is the name for it. And then result label is down here, and a go button. Very, very simple. Something that by now, through what we've been doing, you can build this pretty easy. So let's go ahead and start right there. And we are going to talk about trinary operators. Trinary operators. Easy for me to say, right? And what do those do? And so if you have to make a very simple decision, like between two objects, it's something we might use in a very simple application, okay? If it's more complex, we will be using, of course, just like we did in the last video, where we used an if, an else if, and a else. If it's a complex group of things, we're more likely going to use that. But this is a logic decision that we can make maybe pretty simple between two things. If these two are equal or not, do this, and we want to know an answer. Or if they're not equal, we want to know an answer. And so let's just go look at that, how we would do that very quickly. I'm going to click our button here. There we go. And now we've got our go button underscore click. And we're going to come in here and we're just going to do a little bit of coding, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for our result label. There it is. And dot and text. Oh, it's not text. It is content. Result label dot content is what our actual label says, and we're going to say equals. And then now we're going to do something a little different. Usually we're either just saying, hey, put this string in there, a very simple way, but we want it to make a decision. So here's how we're going to do that. We want to first say our first text box, which my first text box is text box 1 dot text. And we want to check the values to see if the value in text box 1.text is equal to text box 2. But we can't use an equal sign because that's an assignment. We've got to use an equals, right? So equals, and then text box 2 dot text. And so now we're in a place where we're going to say if those two are equal, and now we're going to use a kind of an interesting piece of code. we're going to use a question mark. And then we're going to put yes. And then a colon. And then we're going to put no. And a semicolon to end that. So let's just take a whole look at that. So text box dot text equals equals. Remember, if we just did equals, it'd be an assignment. Equals equals. It's checking the value between the two to see if they're even. Text box dot text, and then question mark. Yes, colon, no. It's that simple. Okay, let's go ahead and make sure. Let's hit save, and then we're just gonna build it real quick. This is very simple code, so we shouldn't have any problems with this. And let's go ahead and run this, because I want to show you what this would do. And of course, my AVG is always a little suspicious when it sees my programs run. Okay, and so here it is. And let's say what were we doing before? 6 is equal to 6. And result label go says yes. So let's ask it if 6 is equal to 7, what it says. And it says no. So it worked. It basically did a very, very simple decision. Are these equal? Are they not equal? Nothing much more than that. And as I said, we wouldn't want to use this a lot. It's something we would do. It's a very simple application, and we're just making a real quick decision. This would be a way for us to know what the decision was. Are the two things we got from the user equal or not? Okay, let's go ahead and just let's close that up. And let's go here to our code. And I'm just going to comment that out, okay? So I'm going to just comment that little piece out. And I only gave myself one line. I didn't space very much in here. Let's try another version of that, shall we? So let's do this. Let's do this version. Well, hey gang, probably gave you a shock. I'm in a different shirt and in a different place, but we're continuing this lesson. So hopefully you're following along. We still have the same page, our little program that says if and two text boxes, text box 1 and text box 2, and is equal to, and here is that old checkbox. Are you old? Is what that's kind of alluding to. A label and a go button. Okay, so we've already established our button over here, and we did a little work with it. We're going to do something else with this button. We've been talking just a little bit about a trinary operator, and I'm going to show you another thing that we can do with that same thing. And here we're going to basically check to see if a checkbox is checked or not checked and return a message back. Okay, so just follow along. We're going to say result label, which we were doing before. And remember, we're going to say content. This is the information we're going to put into our result label. And then we're going to just say equals, 1 equals, because we're just applying something into it. And then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to put some parentheses, and I'm going to check to see if my checkbox is checked. Okay? So checkbox, there it is, tab dot is checked. Okay? And then I'm going to say equals true. So I'm saying, hey, look at my checkbox. If it's checked, then it's going to return a true. And I want to see if it's equal to true. Okay, and if it is, then I'm going to do something, and if it's not, I'm going to do something else. But let me show you how we do this all in one line. And remember, we're going to use our question mark, and that's our ternary operator. And we're going to say, if it's true, I want you to put, in other words, they checked it, they checked that they're old. Hey, kid, get off my lawn. And then we're going to use, once again, just like we did before, we're going to use a colon. And then we're going to say, I need a new skateboard. We don't need to capitalize skateboard. And make sure you put a semicolon at the end of that, okay? So we've got two statements. Doesn't matter really what we say. And then let's go ahead and hit the Save All button. And I'm going to go ahead and just build this solution real quick. And hey, it says the build succeeded down here at the bottom. So let's run it. And when I run it, it says if it's equal to, okay, so I'm going to check that checkbox, and that's the checkbox that it's checking. I'm going to say check the old checkbox, and it says, hey kid, get off my lawn. If I uncheck it for not old, then it says I need a new skateboard. Okay, so that's what we expected it to do. So that's good. All right, let's go from there. Let me close this. In fact, let's just look at for a second. Let's just look at for a second our this slide. In this slide, it basically is showing us all of the comparison operators that we could use. Okay, so that first one is the equals equals, and there, remember, we're comparing one item to another item. Apple, apple, right? Are they the same? In the next one, and we haven't used this one a lot, we have the exclamation mark and the equal sign. And there we're saying, are they not equal? Okay, the top one, equals equals, are they equal? In this one we're saying, are they not equal? So let's say we had an apple and an orange, and we used this operator, and we said, are they not equal? Well, no, they're not equal. And that would give us a true statement back. So if that gave us a true statement, not equal, a true statement back, then that would be very different than what we expected with the equals equals, right? Okay, and so the next one, of course, is just a less than sign. Is the item on one side, let's say it's 6, and the one on the other side is 7. Is 6 less than 7? Yes, it is. That would give us a true answer there. If it was 6 and 6, it would say no, those aren't less than. And then, of course, the greater than, which is the next sign. You're all familiar with that. The ones below that is greater than or equal to. So let's say we were looking at an amount of money versus the cost of something we wanted to buy. And as long as our amount of money was greater than or equal to the price of the cost, then it would do it, and that would return us a true statement. And of course, the one below it is basically an equal to or less than sign. So now we're going the opposite direction. These are very common ones. We use these quite a bit, so you should familiarize yourself with both of those. Okay, so let's go back to our Visual Studios, and let's go ahead and just comment this out, and let's do something else. Let's come up here and let's try a couple of these comparison pieces. Let's go here and let's say the label over here, this label, I have renamed, I'm going to rename it, see up here I've named it comparison label. So change yours to comparison label or to a name that you know, okay? Because we're going to be changing that a little bit. I capitalized that. Let me lowercase that and capitalize label. There we go. And so let's come back over here and comparison label tab dot content, and we're going to say equals, and we want it to say, instead of is equal to, we want it to say is not equal. Is not equal. Okay. Okay, and so you can see that change will change this label right here at the startup of the program. Okay? All right. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say result label again, tab.content, and I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a not equal to. So I'm going to do text box 1 dot text, and we're going to say not equal to text box 2 dot text, and then we're going to come in here and we're going to say if they're not equal, we're going to say not equal no, let's just put yes. Yes, they're not equal. And then let's go over here and let's same thing, except we're going to put no. Okay, just a real simple look at this. So if we hit our save and our rebuild solution really quick, it runs through. It says okay. We run it, and when we run it, it says so. Let's say 6 and 7, and it says yes, they aren't equal. If we say 6 and 6, no, they are equal. Okay, so so we can see how that would work. Let's try this. Let's say we're going to come back here, and in our comparison label, we're going to say is greater than. How about that? And then we're going to come down here and going to take that out. And I'm going to say result, and content and equals and text box 1 dot text is greater than text box 2 dot text. Now, if we look at that, it's not going to let us check that. It says because you can't compare a string to a string and see if they're greater than. So we would have to say something else here. We would have to say, we would have to change these to a number. Is the only way that we could do that. So this would not be a way for us to do that. If we went up above and we changed both of these into a number and then compared both of them, we can get away with that. So so this type of testing would not be good in this situation. What we'd want to do is we'd want to come up here and we'd say text box 1. Oh, first let's do this. Let me get rid of that. Let's say int, and let's call this num1. Do camel case. Num1 equals, and if you remember how we did this, we came in and we said there we go. Do you remember when we did this? Just a okay. And it's got a green line under it. Oh, that's the problem. Sorry. I still had my program running. That's why I didn't like that. Okay. Let's say num2 equals convert dot to int text box 2 dot and text. Okay. So now we come down here and we change this. We say num, there it is, num1. Is it greater than num2? And if it is, we're going to say yes. And no. And so if we hit the save button on this and the rebuild button. Let it rebuild real quick. Yep. And we go ahead and run it. So greater than's a little bigger than what we wanted. Let's say 6 greater than 5, and it says yes, 6 is bigger than 5. What about 7? No, it's not. And we could do the same things with we could come in here and we could change this to our greater than equals, and then we could also run this same thing. And we could say, so now we're at greater than or equals. If I hit is 6 greater than or equal to 7? It says no. What about 5? Is it greater than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. And so we could build several tests out of this as we're going through and test all of those comparison operators. If something's greater than or equal to, or whether it is less than, or any of those things, we can test. So we finished that. Let's, I want to comment all that out. So let's comment that. And, you know, a lot of times when we are working with making decisions, we can't just make one decision. We need to make multiple decisions based upon more than one piece of information to be true. So for example, let's say we said if, and if you remember if, tab, we'll build that little piece right there. And let's say if, and we're going to put parentheses inside of here, because we're going to do a couple different things. And I'm going to say text box 1 dot text and equals, and let's say Mr. And then outside there, so I've moved outside those parentheses. And now we use something that is the double and sign, the two ampersands there together. And that means and when we are programming. And text box 2 dot text equals and Wilson. Oop. I think I hit my cap locks button. Wilson. And so now if that's true, then we're going to say result label dot content equals just one equals good morning. And let's just put that, okay? So that now there we go. And so now we come down here and we say else. dot content equals who are you? Okay, so now I come up here and I hit my save and I give it a quick rebuild my solution, and and it says, hey, Mr. Wilson, you left out a semicolon. See? That's why we do those things. And now we rebuild it and it says it's fine. We click the run button, and if I come in here and I put MR period, and I come here and I put Wilson, and if I push the go button, it says good morning. If I put Jim Wilson, it says who are you? Okay. So that worked. But what if we wanted to add something else? What if we wanted to say, in this case, let's say we wanted to, I'm going to take out a little bit of code, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say Wilson or Smith. Well, what did I do? Oh, I took the ands out. And instead, I'm going to say those two straight lines. Now, those two straight lines mean or. So it could be one or the other. So if text box 1 has Smith in it, or if text box 2 has Wilson in it, it will give us the message, good morning. If neither one of those are true, it'll ask us, who are you? So let's just run that real quick. Build. It says it's built. And so if I click run, and I'm going to grab that and pull that over here. Okay, and so I said if I put Smith and Tom, something random in that one, and I push go, now you can see it's an or situation where one answer could be one thing and one answer could be something else. I can come back in here, I can take Smith out, I can put Tom over there, and if I come over here and I put Smith, it says, who are you? Because this box, the only answer was for Wilson. And now, even though Tom is a different answer, it will do either or. Either one of those answers will give us a correct answer. Okay? So we've looked at and we've looked at or. So we can now use and or. We can use all of the comparison ones, the equals, the question or exclamation mark equals, which is for not equals. We use greater than and less than. We looked at the greater than equals to, and we looked to the equal to less than sign. So we've seen a different groups of signs that we could also use in our programming. Gosh, it might come in handy for a program that's coming up, especially a challenge that might be at the end of this one. Okay. So let's go back to our slide. Let's just go ahead and finish our slides here, and we are going to go to CSASP 013 challenge, the first Mr. Wilson subs. It's going to be our subs and softwares design. So I look forward to seeing you there.